So welcome everyone to today's edition of the Take 15 podcast, created by me, Sally Walker of SW Career Coaching Limited. The idea behind the podcast is that I have a 15-minute coffee break length conversation with people who are in roles that are of interest to you as job searchers or career changers. I ask 5 information gathering questions to help you learn more about this role and whether it matches your expectations. So today's 15 minutes is with corporate video maker Peter Ewan of Heelheadover Productions Limited. Peter, welcome. Nice to have you with me.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sally. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Peter, again, with a fairly short amount of time, so could you kind of briefly just describe for us what's been your career path to becoming a corporate video maker?
Well, I suppose my corporate path has been, I worked for a major high street bank for 35 years, and I had a career there where I was a corporate manager. I was head of learning and development for half the UK. I worked in contact centres, had a whole variety of roles working for this major high street bank. But making videos is something that I always wanted to do. It had always been my hobby since I was age 14, and my grandfather bought me a video camera. And basically 2008, the crash came, and prior to that, the bank had been paying agencies tens of thousands of pounds to make short internal videos. I saw an opportunity, so I went to them and said, if you pay for my training, you pay for my kit, I'll create these videos for you as an edge of desk job, on the basis that when they made the right offer to me to leave, that I would leave and set up on my own. And 4 years later, that is exactly what I did.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think that's when you and I got to know each other at that stage, and you made that move from corporate life to running your own business, self-employment.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, and you were an incredible help to me in those days, Sally, because I remember the outplacement agency that the bank paid for us to go to. I think 99% of the people on there really wanted the same job that they'd just been made redundant from, but ideally with more money and less hours. Whereas I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to set up my own business, and what I wanted advice was on how to do that. And you were really, really useful for that for me. I'll be forever grateful.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Bit of free advertising that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Very nice. So what's a typical day like then, as a video maker? Can you describe it for us?
Well, there is no such thing as a typical day. So I make videos and also create animations for companies large and small. So I work with one-man companies, for instance, a painter and decorator. I work with him, and then I work with multinationals. So I'm working with the UK arm of an American pharmaceutical company that I'm making lots of animations for that they're going to use internally and externally. But so a typical week. So this week, for instance, I was in London on Monday with one of my customers. They do all the fitting out of KFC and Taco Bell stores and that kind of stuff. So we were down there filming on the premises that they'd kitted out, showing what they'd done and how happy the customers were, that kind of thing. So that was a whole day doing that. Today, I've been over to another of my customers who does property maintenance. So I've been filming and interviewing with him, do lots of filming around schoolwork. I mean, it's, anything and everything you could possibly imagine. Do lots of corporate testimonials, which is where I go out and video my customers talking about how great they are. Doing lots of promos at the moment. So what does the business do? Why do people buy from them? What's their USP? All that kind of thing. And sometimes if customers have what might be considered a boring product, then quite often we create an animation, because that brings it to life. Because quite often, if what you do isn't really particularly visual, then an animation is sometimes quite a good way to get that across. So
really interesting, really interesting. And I seem to again remember that the benefits of your professional, your corporate life were that actually you were able to ask your potential clients questions about their business and kind of draw that out. That was a nice differentiator that you brought to things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the, since I started, and I've been going, I think probably 8 years now, None of my clients, my potential clients, have ever asked me about what kit I've got, what technical skills I've got. They're not interested in that. One of the things you learn pretty quickly is what do they want to know is how can I sell more product, or how can I sell more services? So I think the more you can do to understand that customer, the better it is. And that's my corporate life in another life has been really useful, because all the skills that I learned there have really come to the fore now, which is, you know, relationship building, questioning skills, all those kind of things are really, really useful. And that's what customers value without knowing that that's what they need.
Yeah, interesting. Good stuff. Thank you. And what do you like? What do you dislike most about the job?
Well, I absolutely love my job. I absolutely love it, Sally. The main reason I love it is because I control my time, which I think is, if you work in corporate, how much money you get paid, how much bonus you get, the hours you work, where you go, are very much controlled by other people. Whereas for me, I know that, so for instance, I'm taking tomorrow off, we're going shopping. So I just mark myself out for the diary. A couple of weeks ago, I was really busy, so I had to work a Saturday and a Sunday. So it swings and roundabouts. And I know if I work harder, I get more money. If I take days off, then I don't get that money. And I'm in control of myself. The other thing I find, Sally, is that it was a bit of a shock to me, but I'm so much more productive now that I'm working for myself than I am in a large corporate environment. You know, I don't get hundreds of emails that I'm copied into just for people covering themselves. You know, I get emails which are important and I know that I need to do. So my time is much better spent now.
Interesting, really interesting. And any downsides, any dislikes or little dislikes about the role at all?
Not really. I mean, I think one of the lessons I've learned since I'm doing this is to trust your gut. So if I meet a potential customer and I get a bad feeling about it, initially I would chase that job and I would just go for it anyway. What I've learned over a period is that to trust your gut, and if there's something not quite right and it doesn't seem that you gel, then just walk away. Is one, you know, is a lesson that I've learned. And the other thing is get over the imposter syndrome as quickly as you can, because that was a big thing for me at the beginning. You know, why will people possibly pay me to do what is in effect my hobby, because I do this outside work as well as in, and I think the sooner you can get over that, the better.
Any tips for getting over it?
Well, I think getting feedback is a really good way. You know, ask your customers, would they be happy to recommend you to their customers? And if they're happy to recommend you, then you know they've done a good job. And another way is ask them if they'll do a testimonial for you. So if you've done some work for them and they're happy to write down what a great job you've done, then you know you've. And the final one is if they pay their bill.
Well said.
People don't pay unless you give them what they want.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, great points. Really good points. Lovely. Yeah. And you know, what about the sort of key skills and even personal qualities that you maybe feel help you to be successful, you know, as a corporate video maker?
I was chatting to somebody about this the other day. Actually, it is an incredibly wide variety of skills. So I think first off, you need to be creative. You need to have a creative sort of bent to you. You need to be interested in being creative. You need to be a bit of a magpie. You need to watch as much stuff as you can to pinch ideas, because there is nothing new under the sun. You need to get the technical skills. So you need to understand about video and photography. You need to understand about light and how things work on that level. Then you need to understand the mechanical, because you're putting stuff together all the time. If you're a one-person videographer like I am, I have to understand how the camera cage goes together, what to do if the tripod breaks, all those kind of things. You have to understand about lights. You have to understand about the electronics of it, because everything is electronic nowadays. So you have to understand that part of it. But the thing that makes the biggest difference is being able to build relationships. So at the moment, I'm doing some work for a domiciliary care company. So they provide carers to go into people's homes. So I was in filming with a carer and a 96-year-old lady the other day. And the skills that came into there were being able to set my kit up really quickly, because obviously 96, she didn't have a huge attention span. And the other thing was around building that relationship really quickly. So I could put her at her ease and help, you know, get her in a situation where she would talk about the service that she was getting from the carer. And as it was, that turned out fantastic and the customer was really pleased. So I think it's the soft skills that are really important no matter what job you're doing. You know, you've got to be able to build relationships with people quickly, because quite often if I'm out filming with a client for a testimonial, I'll have half an hour with them and I need to put them at their ease as soon as I can so that I can get out of them why they work with that customer, because that's what you want. At the end of the day, you've got to bear in mind what's the reason you're there for. So those soft skills, I think, are really useful.
Excellent. No, really good point, because again, I think that really helps show that the transferability of a lot of things that people, you know, have innately got, but they might not think are directly relevant, but they really are, as you say, around those relationship building skills. Good.
I think that's really important, Sally, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that you helped me with at the beginning was you tend to think of when you're in a large corporate environment, you tend to think your job, your skills are just related to that job in that environment. But I think somebody like you is really helpful in actually unpicking, well, what was it that you actually did and what do you do? And then helping you see that that is transferable across a whole variety of things.
Yeah.
And I think people quite often have more skills that are wider available than they realize.
Yeah, well said, well said. And really then lastly, Peter, any advice or insights that you'd like to share with the listeners, you know, to help them find out more about perhaps becoming or being a corporate video maker?
Well, I think for me, the best thing is about talk to somebody who's already doing it.
Yeah.
Is always the best thing. Try and find somebody, just search locally for somebody who's doing what you want to do. And just ring them up and go and have a coffee with them. I mean, in my opinion, most people are nice. So if you ring somebody up and say, look, I'm thinking of doing what you do, I'm not necessarily going to do it in your area. Would you be happy to, you know, have a coffee with them? Buy somebody a coffee and just chat and find out. And also because of the internet now, it's really easy to find people in the rest of the world that are happy to talk. So I remember a lot of forums particularly with trainers in the USA and that kind of stuff, and they're more than happy to talk. So join online forums and just chat to people. Good. Get as much information as you can and network.
Network, exactly, absolutely. Yeah, build those relationships.
Definitely.
Brilliant, Peter. Thank you so much. Well, as I say, thank you so much for your time today. I've learned lots about what you do, what you love about it, and I know that you and I will continue to stay in touch together. Thanks so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you very much.